Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Seth Meyers had a good one about Steve Bannon after Bannon turned himself into New York authorities last week. Seth said, "The good news is I'm positive this man knows how to make toilet wine." Kimmel said he'd been charged with multiple felonies. That is Steve Bannon, not Kimmel. Bannon has been charged with multiple felonies, including money laundering, which is definitely the first time in Steve Bannon's life he's been accused of doing laundry. Trevor Noah said, "This guy doesn't look like he has $15. Look at him. Millions of dollars? He looks like he sublets from Oscar the Grouch." Sam Morrill had some travel difficulties on Sunday. His flight was delayed. He tweeted, though, "It's really tough to complain about an 8-hour travel delay on 9/11. It's kind of like having a story where Bill Cosby was rude to you." That is a good joke. All Pro Lines, they have their own podcast, and they do football jokes. Some of them. Aaron Rodgers should be happy. At no point did the Packers have a shot. Get it? Get it? And All Pro Lines asked if Patrick Mahomes is going to be okay without Tyreek Hill. Yes, Patrick Mahomes had 5 touchdowns. It's like if John Hamm's girlfriend leaves him. Is he right? Yeah, he's fine. First week, 5 scores. Let's stay on the sports page for a second. From TMZ Sports, Baltimore Ravens offensive tackle hit up popular artist Mike Jordan to, quote, get some dope imagery put on his spikes for the team's first game against the Jets. Mike Jordan told TMZ that offensive tackle Morgan Moses got to pick out his own design, and since Moses loves pancakes and wanted Ravens colors, he decided Dave Chappelle's famous Prince episode was the perfect theme. So what do these look like? On the right side of the cleats, Jordan put Chappelle wearing his Prince outfit with a plate of pancakes. On the left side, he put Chappelle in the Prince suit, making a funny hand gesture. The left cleat also features Chappelle saying from the show, "Game blouses." Today's episode went out a little later than usual, so I could cover the Emmys. Let's look at the comedy Emmys. The Outstanding Comedy Series went to Ted Lasso, Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. Jason Sudeikis for Ted Lasso, Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. Jean Smart for Hacks, Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series. Brett Goldstein, Ted Lasso, Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. Cheryl Lee Ralph for Abbott Elementary. Outstanding Variety Talk Series went to John Oliver. Outstanding Variety Sketch Series, a ridiculous category in which there were 2 nominees, a Black Lady Sketch Show and Saturday Night Live, went to SNL. Kenan Thompson started the show. He walked through the crowd in a top hat. His question, if it weren't for TV, what would we do with our free time? Read a book? No one in this room has read a book in 50 years. He then joined some backup dancers for a dance medley set to famous TV theme songs, spinning an umbrella on a couch in a Friends homage, and then putting on a long blonde wig as the Game of Thrones theme played. He congratulated Zendaya on her recent birthday and said, 26 is a weird age in Hollywood. You're young enough to play a high school student, but you're too old to date Leonardo DiCaprio. That's good. He reminded everyone that Abbott Elementary is using its Emmy marketing money to buy supplies for public school teachers, and then joked, that's what it's all about. It's about helping those in need. That's why all my salary from tonight's show is going straight to Netflix. Then he tagged that with, they're never going to give me a comedy special. That's okay. Some more jokes from Kenan. Now, I love Squid Game, and if you don't know what Squid Game is, it's a contest you enter when you're in massive debt and desperate for money. Joining the cast next season, Netflix. That's great. Stranger Things was hard to watch because it's so scary. Squid Game was hard to watch because it's so violent, and Yellow Jackets was hard to watch because it's on Showtime. Love it. Bowen Yang appeared as his backup co-host, joking that something crazy could happen and Kenan Thompson could vanish into thin air like a show on HBO Max. I mentioned Ted Lasso took home a prize. Pete Davidson presented the awards of the cast. Pete started with, before I say anything, I just want to say, how about a shout out to Kenan Thompson, man? The guy's been in the zone for the past 30 years, just making us smile, nothing but net. He's an absolute treasure, and I'm honored to call him a friend. This is really cool. Pete then looked down and said, this mic is short as hell. I didn't come to rehearsal. It's funny because this is just like SNL because Keenan's doing all the work and I'm refusing to say what the writers want. That's hilarious. This is the Emmys. This is cool, man. Thanks for having me here. And the Emmys are like so prestigious. Even being nominated for one could be the pinnacle of an actor's career, I assume. Pete handed the award to Jason Sudeikis. The cast and crew gathered behind Sudeikis, and then he joked they were already down to 30 seconds, referring to the time left to finish his speech. Sudeikis says he always rolls his eyes at people at award show who said they didn't expect to win. But I really didn't. It was an amazing group that I was nominated with, so I'm not overly prepared, but I did take classes at Second City, so I'll go for it. Brett Goldstein, Best Supporting Actor, said, the hardest part of being in Ted Lasso is trying not to ruin the take because he's too busy staring at his co-stars being like, God, you're good. He also got bleeped out while thanking his family after jokingly promising not to curse like he did last year. Jimmy Kimmel presented the award for Best Writing in a Comedy Series. He pretended to be passed out on the stage next to Will Arnett, who joked it was the 13th time in a row that Jimmy Kimmel lost Best Variety Series and that Kimmel, quote, just got into the skinny margaritas back there. Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak appeared together. A lot of gossip that maybe they're a couple. Twitter found it interesting that they presented together. Maybe they just played characters on The Office together. Who knows? Gerard Carmichael accepted the award for Outstanding Writing for a Variety Special. He kept his speech short and told the crowd, I'm going to go home because I can't top this right now. Martin Short presented Outstanding Variety Talk Series to Last Week with John Oliver. Short said, what a beautiful audience. I wish I could box you up and take you home like classified White House documents. John Oliver said, thank you so much. It's a thrill to be here and meet Steve Martin and Martin Short in the weirdest way possible. Lorne Michaels accepted Best Variety Series alongside Tearful Kenan Thompson and Kate McKinnon. Michaels talked about the challenges of putting the show on during the pandemic and said there's something in the DNA of the show. When it's 11:30 on Saturday night, we show up. In the press room, they asked Lorne about the upcoming season. Lorne said, I think there are 4 new people at least for now. Norm Macdonald was not part of the In Memoriam segment. People on social media were getting annoyed. And then others pointed out McDonald was featured in last year's show. Norm passed away a few days before the Emmys last year. Norm died September 14th, 2021. I'll dive in on that tomorrow. From Sky News, they noticed that some Queen Elizabeth jokes were cut from Last Week Tonight with John Oliver when it aired in the UK. I saw the episode. It was pretty harmless. Maybe I'm just not British enough. I'm not British at all. Oliver made fun of tributes to the late Queen from such comedies as Domino's Pizza and the likes of cartoon character Crazy Frog. John's most cutting joke, in my opinion, was obviously we have to start with the UK, which is clearly still reeling from the shocking death of a 96-year-old woman from natural causes. It was a big moment of the week, and for some reason, absolutely everybody felt they had to wade in. In other news, they announced the lineup for the annual Bob Woodruff Foundation event. Jon Stewart and Bruce Springsteen there as always. This year's event, which is part of the New York Comedy Festival, will also include the Lumineers, and I'm a big fan of theirs. Hasan Minhaj, Jeff Ross, and Iliza Schlessinger. Stand Up for Heroes benefits the Bob Woodruff Foundation. Tickets are on sale now. This is November 7th in New York City. On your Netflix today, Joe Coy has a new special. Johnny Mac, you never talk about Joe Coy. Oh, yes, I do. A little too much. He's been in the news so much. Joe Coy, live at the LA Forum, taped back in March. Joe Coy talks about public sneezing, perseverance, the indignities of sleep apnea, and getting lost in the Philippines. That's on Netflix now. Ari Spears in the news a lot, and not for good reasons. Yahoo caught up with Faison Love, who expressed that he vehemently disagrees with Ari Spears' comments. No, not the ones about the sketch, the ones about Lizzo. You may recall Ari Spears recently said, I can't get past the fact that she looks like the poop emoji. He said some other things. I don't want to repeat them. Faison Love said, the comments in itself are stupid. I mean, Lizzo's a phenomenon. She's talented, and he's not so talented. He's got one gear. He's a yo, son. But if you know the story of Ari Spears, he was the guy in Def Jam as a kid. He was 13 to 14 years old. They flew him to Hollywood thinking he'd be the next Eddie Murphy, and womp womp. He was so angry. Faison Love said that he, as well as many other comedians, have had ongoing issues with Ari Spears. Love said, I was going to slap the bleep out of him one time. This dumb MFer. So many MFers was going to whoop his ass because he was this cocky kid. He would get deals. South of Sunset was one of the shows, and they would go nowhere, like womp womp. I guess Faison Love enjoys going womp womp. Here comes Lizzo. Takes the world by storm. Bam. She plays the flute, which is amazing because Brick was the last person I know who made the flute fly. Her doing all that other stuff is her being a rock star. Every rock star doesn't have to look like Alicia Keys or whatever. That's what makes her Lizzo. But he doesn't understand that because he's so busy trying to fit into Eddie Murphy's mold. Spears don't know style. He don't know flyness. Lizzo's fly. He don't know. He's corny himself. You have to know his story. Cornball with a soapbox. If you were on my computer, first of all, I'd be like, how did you get on my computer? What's up with that? That's not cool. Second, you'd see a file labeled Best of 2022, and I have a new entry on it. You want to know what's on the entry so far? And this will be an end-of-the-year topic, but so far, from the bottom up, I have David Spade's Netflix special, The Pentaverate, Peacemaker, Bill Burr's special, That's My Time with David Letterman, Norm Macdonald's special, Sam Morrill's special, The New Thing at number 2, I'll tell you in a second, and George Carlin's American Dream at number 1. So what's the new number 2 thing on Johnny Mac's list? Hey, Johnny Mac, it was just last week you told us Sam Morrill was the best comedy special of the year. Well, Sheng Wang, currently Best comedy special of the year. I watched this Sunday. I got a little bored with football during the 4 o'clock window, and I'm like, let me pop over to Netflix. And man, I was enjoying the heck out of Sheng Wang's special. Was giving me some Hannibal Buress vibes, occasionally some Mitch Hedberg vibes. Those are two comedians I love. I just found the writing so sharp, and my brain was lit up the entire time. Now, I do that Emperor of Rome thing that I've talked about in the past, where short version to catch up new listeners. So I ran SiriusXM Comedy for 10 years. I listened to comedy all day, every day for a decade. And now I do what comedians do, where I don't always laugh, but I'll go, oh, that was so good, or oh, the writing is so great, or oh, great callback. So I know when my brain is lit up, even if I'm sitting there not chuckling, and my brain was really lit up during Sheng Wang. You'll find his special on Netflix. Currently, best special of the year. Vulture asked Sheng Wang, hey, what's the best comedy advice and the worst comedy advice you ever received? Sheng said, the best, write every day, perform as much as possible, record audio of every set, and have fun. They can't enjoy the show if you don't. Worst advice you ever got? You should do more Asian jokes. The Hollywood Reporter had a pretty interesting article. They really zoomed in on John Oliver's take on Law & Order. I thought it was a little strange that this is what they wrote about, but okay. On Sunday Night Show, Oliver cited an interview with an unnamed writer on Law & Order, noting that there was a feeling that if police were portrayed in a negative light, the NYPD, quote, could make it very difficult for us to shoot in New York. John Oliver said, that does make sense, doesn't it? The NYPD is famously anti-shooting unless they're the ones doing it. Oliver said because they do collaborate with the police, the franchise does get some details accurate, like specific laws, jargon, and crime scene procedures, but crucially, it also makes a lot of choices that significantly distort the big picture of police. That includes always arresting the correct perpetrator halfway through the episode and always seeing justice served at the end of the episode. Oliver said, in reality, not every case gets solved, and 97% of cases never go to trial due to plea deals. Oliver said, obviously, Law & Order can't reflect that reality. It would be unwatchable. Nobody wants to watch a show where 97% of episodes end with two lawyers striking a deal in a windowless room, and then you get to watch the defendant serve 6 months and struggle to get a job at their local Jiffy Lube. Variety published their list of comics to watch. On the list, Alex English. Variety's like, hey, where do we know you from? Alex English said, probably best known for writing on SNL. What I'm most proud of is the set I did the other night, The Comedy Cellar. The set wasn't perfect, but there was a new joke about the WNBA that I told that I was positive would die a miserable death. All right, Alex English, if a network made a sitcom about you, what would it be? Ricky. And he runs an etiquette school for teenage boys that he opened with the money he made from OnlyFans. All right, Alex English, what are your comedy opinions? What hill would you die on? He quoted Patrice O'Neill, who said, it should be about 50 people laughing and 50 people horrified. All right, best advice and worst advice for you. Best advice I ever received is never take advice. The worst advice I received is advice. In 2021, he recorded some interstitials for Comedy Central's Alana Glazer Presents Tight 5. In it, he workshopped a joke about Malcolm X's bangability. He then immediately doubled down on the shock value and said, I'll only know it's funny if the NAACP calls for me to apologize. And Decider took a look at Gutsy. It's a new show starring Hillary Clinton on Apple TV+. Johnny Mac, why are we talking about that? Well, in Gutsy, the Clintons, and it's not Bill and Hillary, it's Hillary and Chelsea. See, normally when you say the Clintons, I would think of Hillary and her husband, Bill. They don't seem to spend a lot of time together. Have you ever noticed that? My mom noticed that about 30 years ago and brings it up every day. Chelsea and Hillary travel to different cities and talk with women who are affecting change in their own bold ways. In the first episode, the Clintons, Chelsea and Hillary, talk about women and comedy. They have tea with Amy Schumer and discuss how honest Amy Schumer has been about her pregnancy and endometriosis and her career of broaching sensitive topics through her comedy. Then they go bowling with Wanda Sykes and discuss with Wanda the merits of punching up to point out hypocrisies perpetrated by those in power. Then they do a roundtable with stand-up comics Yamanika Saunders, Maysoon Zaid, and Lori Kilmartin. They talk about how it's an uphill battle for women comics to connect with audiences and how they've modified their acts through the years to be true to themselves and, like with Wanda Sykes, refrain from punching down. Finally, Hillary and Chelsea attend clown school in Paris's famed Moulin Rouge. There's a music video to be made there. The Clintons, Hillary and Chelsea, find out that in clowning, failing is necessary in order to get the bigger laugh that'll happen when you recover from that failure. They're joined by comedian Natalie Palamides to interview master clown instructor Philippe Goyer. Palamedes demonstrates one of her best jokes in her show Nate, which is a fantastic show and was one of my best of lists. Was that 2020? I can't remember. Go watch Nate. It's fantastic. Natalie Palamedes demonstrates one of her best jokes in her show Nate by actually touching Chelsea Clinton's chest. And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your shows. Cross plug for Palace Intrigue. I'm the writer on that. I don't know if you heard the Queen died. The Queen died. We're pretty busy over there putting out at least 2 episodes a day. So if the royal stuff interests you, support us over at Palace Intrigue. Back with comedy tomorrow.